Right now, you're listening to the Scary Vibes podcast. My name is Michael, aka Mr. Scary Vibes.
And my name is Abe, aka Big Paranormal. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back, season 2, episode 13. The number
Man,
13. I mean, this already sounds like a disaster ahead of us. We have a
everybody
special
knows that
guest,
13. 13, man, it's that unlucky number, bro.
definitely. So hopefully we don't run into anything crazy. And at the end of this episode, we're actually going to talk about just the idea of just being cursed. But before we get into all of that, we got a special guest I want to introduce to everybody. We got Sammy Roos.
Ruiz.
Yeah, I
Yes,
pronounce
sir.
it Ruiz. There's a few different pronunciations of it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm happy to be on. Thank you guys.
So Sammy, this is your first time on here. So I'm curious, and I'm sure our listeners and our watchers are curious. How did you get into horror? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, again, my name is Sammy Ruiz. I'm a Los Angeles native. Grew up here, and LA's crazy. You get a lot of different kind of people here. But to answer your question about horror, it started with, I would say, if I could really think back, with my grandma. My grandma, when she would babysit me, she would show me a lot of scary movies. Some of those scary movies would be, for example, like The Exorcist or The Lost Boys, and that kind of, I got my curiosity with horror movies.
So, what age were you when you were watching all this?
I would say, if I asked my grandma once, and she says I was about maybe 5 or 6 years old.
Bro,
Wow.
I think your grandma and my mom must have knew each other because that's kind of the same story how I kind of fell into horror. I remember just being like 5, 6 years old, watching, Child's Play, stuff like that. But then I remember before like the age of 10 watching The Exorcist, and that is a movie that I can't even imagine ever letting my daughter see, even when she's like in her 30s. She's not allowed to watch it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that one got me. It traumatized me, dude. To this day, I can't watch it by myself. There's no way, dude.
Really? I feel like I'm kind of out of place now, man, because you guys started off with a horror really, really early, man. I was a chicken shit when I was a kid. My brother, he would force me to have to watch, the horror movies that were his favorites, uh, which was like Friday. Oh my God, I'm blanking right now. Like Night of the Living Dead, the 1990 version. That movie
Yeah,
to this day still traumatizes the hell out of me. Also, even now as a grown man, I can't watch that movie during the day because it still gives me like I get horrible nightmares, horrible
yeah.
nightmares when it comes to it. But yeah, I think I'm slowly but steadily like catching up to you guys, man. That's crazy though. I couldn't imagine myself being 5 years old and being shown a crazy scary movie like The Exorcist. That's insane.
Yeah, and I will say that when I was so I have a sister, but we're about 5 years apart. So growing up, my parents were always with my sister when she was little. So I'd watch TV shows in my room like the X-Files and stuff. That really opened up the doors to like the paranormal. I was really obsessed with all the cases they had, Mulder and Scully and stuff. But I
Mhm.
grew up watching the Goosebumps, and yeah, that
Okay,
really
so
had a big.
like, so would you say that watching those types of, that type of TV, would you say that that kind of contributed to your curiosity when it came to getting into ghost hunting and, paranormal investigating?
I would say yes. I really liked the X-Files specifically. I just how they looked into all those cases and stuff, and I'm like, man, that's
Hmm.
interesting. Really wonder if that stuff is real, because it at the time when I watched that show, it seemed real.
Hmm.
The way they really made it. And I think that had a big part.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of makes you wonder if is there some kind of like shadow section of the government where they do have people that are looking into the paranormal, that are looking into the UFOs, that are looking into the cryptids? That's the kind of stuff that I would love to look into, man. That's the stuff that I would totally be curious to see whatever they have. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Yeah, I follow that stuff kind of deep. I went down the rabbit hole with all the government UFO stuff, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bob Lazar. They just put out a new documentary about him. He was a are you guys familiar with him?
No, could you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, so Bob Lazar, the thing with this guy, he's about like he's like at the top of the pyramid, so to speak, with the UFO lore. This
Mm.
guy, he got recruited to work for the government. He was working for So he says Area 51, a specific region of what Area 51 called Site 4, S4. And this guy was essentially a whistleblower. So he worked for the government for about a year, worked on a UFO, he said. And he was, and he kind of came out. He got caught looking at UFOs. He would bring his friends, caught, and he gets scared because he's like, shoot, they might kill me.
Mhm.
It was public. He finds a radio station or news station in Nevada, kind of does the whole whistleblower thing, and the government just starts messing with him. They start shooting at his car. It's wild, and it's a crazy story. But this guy Bob Lazar is still alive, and they just made a documentary about all the stuff he saw.
Man,
And it's
definitely gonna have to
real,
check that out. That's crazy.
yeah, it's wild. But it just really connects to all the X Files stuff because a lot of it was about UFOs, and I love all that stuff.
So I know you had mentioned, you kind of got a passion for that because you were like, man, this stuff seems so real and it's so scary. Because when something feels real, it's 10 times scarier. I always feel like um when it comes to like horror movies, like the genre of like possession, demonic, something about those ones always kind of give me the heebie-jeebies over everything else. Slashers, I could sit there, I could watch Terrifier. Yeah, maybe it'll like turn my stomach a little bit, but I could still sleep good at night. But those demonic and like creepy movies. But I also remember growing up watching like the Blair Witch Project. I know people hate on it these days, but I mean, being like 9, 10 years old when it came out and thinking that was real, that was nightmare fuel for me. Is there any movies that, or is there a specific genre when it comes to horror, that you guys are scared of, or that you thought was real? Both of you guys.
Yeah, for me personally, dude, I'm with you. It's the Exorcism movies, dude. Those always scared me. The Exorcist, the Exorcism of Emily Rose. But it's funny you mentioned the Blair Witch Project. A little side note, dude. My grandpa took me to see that when it came out, and when did it come out? Like '99, maybe. I think.
Yeah,
I
it
want to
was.
say
I think it
yeah.
was about around like 97, between 97 and 99.
Yeah, I think yeah. So when it came out, because their marketing was genius, and I thought it was real. I thought these people really disappeared in the woods, and we went to go see it, and I got so scared, dude. And I was asking my grandpa, I'm like, where's Burkittsville? And I thought it was close to California at the time. He's like, oh no, that's across the country. But I was so scared. I'm like, I don't want to go anywhere near Burkittsville.
I hear
But
that.
yeah,
What about you, Abe? What movies give you the heebie-jeebies?
Oh man, same as you guys, the exorcism like possession movies, and I think that has more to do with the fact that being Hispanic, I was born and raised Catholic, right? So you're often told about like the dangers of falling into sin and being pressured and being kind of coerced by the devil, and it's I don't know, man. For that, it just makes it kind of real for me. But specifically, what's funny is that there is one movie that scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. And that was just because it was where it was filmed was in very close proximity to where I used to live. And that was Candyman. And that's because, the whole story itself was based in Cabrini Green here in
mhm.
Chicago. And literally, when I used to live in Humboldt Park, it was literally, man, like a 10-minute drive down Division Avenue, like, bro. And then just finding out that, they filmed it there, I automatically thought that it was real, the whole lore and everything. And then it didn't help that my uncle scared the crap out of me while we were watching the movie. He like pretended that so he saw me and my cousins all sitting together all scared watching this movie, and he comes over and he's like, "Oh, you guys are scared? That's ridiculous, man. I'll go in the bathroom and I'll do it right now." So he goes in the bathroom to look in the mirror and he shuts the door. And so we all run over to the bathroom where we got our ears to the door and we're hearing him say Candyman's name 5 times, and then we run back over to the couch and he like opens the door. And it's funny because he opens the door with like basically where he sticks his head out. So we can't see obviously what's behind the door, and so he's like, see, there's nothing to be afraid of. And then he takes his other hand and grabs the top of his head and then screams and pulls himself back into the bathroom. Dude, I almost pissed myself, bro. I was terrified. And I feel like I literally had to use the bathroom with the door open for like the next 2 weeks. It was
Shoot.
horrible. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's
it's
it for
funny.
me.
It's funny you mentioned that, dude. Candyman, I was always scared of him, dude. Because when I watched Candyman, I'm like, man, because Candyman was from the hood. And I'm like, man,
Hmm.
all the dudes from the hood are scared of this guy. You know, I'm like, man, that must be a scary dude.
And it's also for me, it's the thing about the hook. There's
Yeah,
just, I don't know, just like so much savagery when you think about being torn apart by this gigantic hook, man. And we're not talking about like small fisherman's hook or anything. Like this thing, it basically looked like the end of like a crowbar that just came to a sharp edge, and it was just jammed into the end of this guy's severed hand,
yeah.
right? Oh, it was just brutal, man.
I know
Absolutely.
I know Candyman is scary, but you guys, I mean, Abraham knows me very well. Sammy's just getting to know me, but I love my dark romance. And bro, Candyman was poetic. I think when he was like,
Absolutely.
he was like, be my victim. I was like, bro, that's my guy
You
right there.
Look, man, rest in peace, Tony Todd, man. There was nobody else, honestly, who could have played that part. There was just something so iconic about what just the height, right? I mean, he was just this imposing character, and he was rocking this fur coat, right? I mean, it was just something just so intimidating about this guy. But it was his voice too, though. There's just the deepness of his voice, where it would just be quiet, and you would see the main character Helen, right, and she'd be doing something and thinking that she's safe, and then all of a sudden, you hear that Helen.
Mhm.
Helen, and you're like, oh God, see, I'm thinking about it, dude, and it's giving me goosebumps right now, man. That guy was terrifying as Candyman, man. Messed me up.
I
So
agree. Yeah.
the remake came out. I
Hmm.
couldn't get through it. I mean, I had so much love for the first one. I couldn't. I tried watching. I got like maybe like 30 minutes into it. I couldn't. Did you guys
Oh,
watch
bro,
Mhm.
it?
yeah, you should have stuck around, man. You should have stuck around, because as it gets like closer as it gets closer to like the middle of the film, then there's like a huge reveal where they basically tell you that you're not watching a remake. This is a sequel. And yeah, so there's like a reveal where they connect it to the first Candy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
So I would say
Yeah.
definitely go back and watch it, man.
So I feel like us three could probably nerd out all day talking about horror movies. But I'm gonna keep the train rolling. Abraham,
Yes,
how have
sir.
you been? What have you been up to?
It was actually kind of a busy week, man. I was asked by our friend, actually, who he appeared a couple episodes ago. Our friend Paul Morel is right. He is he's an employee of DePaul University, and he had previously asked me to go and kind of check out the space in the Latinx cultural center that they have over there, because he said that the energy was feeling kind of heavy. And one of his students, who's actually spiritually awakened, she has been under like attack, right? So kind of asked me to go and check out this space, whatever, and I kind of helped him out with that. So recently he had asked me to be a speaker at an event there at that same cultural center, which was really cool. I thought it was going to be like this big theater type thing, but it didn't end up being like that at all. It was like more of a kind of like a roundtable thing. So anybody who came in, just who had questions about what is an empath, what's being empathic like, how are some ways to tell that you are empathic, and then just curious about like my experiences with the paranormal, Mike, of which I've had many. And it was just a really cool kind of just like close knit event, man. It was awesome. It felt very comfortable to be able to talk to a couple of the students there. It was a good experience, to be able to talk to some of these students, and hopefully spark their interest in the paranormal and with being an empath, because I know that when I was first coming up and experiencing the things that I was experiencing as an empath, there was not any outlet or anybody that I could actually speak to, anybody that I could bounce questions off of back then. So I know that I try moving forward to be that type of a person. I want to be able to help in any way that I can for anybody who has any questions about being empathic. But it was a crazy experience, man, mainly because I had literally just told this one student about how when you're an empath, literally strangers will just walk up to you and they will just unload. They will just tell you their whole life story, right? And they don't know who you are. You're a complete stranger, but I've had it happen several times. And right as I tell this girl this kid, like, I mean, college age kid, he comes up and he's like, tells me and Paul, he says, "Hey, can I ask you guys for some advice?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, man," he goes, "honestly, I don't even know why I'm talking to you guys about this, but," and then he just goes into like his whole like family life and how he was raised and how he was trying to figure out ways to be more like confident in himself and being able to approach different people. He's like, you guys are speaking to like groups of people and everything. Like, how's the way, how what are some ways that I can be more confident? And I just thought it was funny how we literally were just talking about how this happens. We're just random people, just the guy just came into the room. He wasn't even sitting in the room at all. He literally just came into the room. He beelined it right to where we were sitting and was like, "Can I talk to you guys? I need some advice." So I kind of just looked over at the student and was like, this is what I'm talking about. It happens all the time. I've
Maybe just
literally,
have a friendly face. Look how friendly you look.
oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely. This just screams, "Come hug me," right? Um, but so yeah, man. I mean, that happened, which was a cool experience. But then at the same time, there was another experience where I was getting like this nagging in my head where it was telling me like there was this website that I had to share with this one student, right? Some of the people know, some of the listeners know, for the brand new ones, I worked as an investigator for Chicago Public Schools for 5 years, right? And during that time, I had come across a lot of, different resources and things that I used doing the digital threat assessment, online threat assessment, like all those kinds of things. And I found this website that had just like a bunch of different resources, um, investigation, And so like there was just something in my head was telling me like, okay, you have to pass this information on to this student. And so I was like, man, I don't know. So I go up to the student and I said, "Hey, listen, I don't know why I'm feeling compelled to share this with you, but this is," and I, pull up my cell phone and I'm like, it's an online tool. It's free. You can use it. It's for, it's got all types of different resources for investigations into, I mean, just like people searches and all types of stuff. And so I was like, I don't know why, but for some reason I keep feeling like I need to share this with you. Bro, the student tells me, "It's funny that you're actually sharing this with me because I'm actually in the midst of studying for cybersecurity and my goal is to get into the FBI." And so I was like, "Damn, okay." I said, "Well, there you go. You got a tool it's going to be awesome for you, man. It's going to work wonders for you." So, I mean, I just thought that was crazy. That's the first time that I've literally had like my intuition kind of be confirmed like right then in the moment.
Yeah, those are some pretty like weird coincidences. Yeah, that one moment you're talking about, hey, like people always just flock to me for advice. Random guy walks in the
Hmm.
room.
Hmm.
Then you have this overwhelming feeling to kind of share some knowledge with somebody, and then
Hmm.
they're like, oh my god, this is gonna help me. So two weird coincidences, and the
Hmm.
fact that you were in a place that you usually don't go to, like
Yeah,
strange.
man. And so just to kind of piggyback on what I was talking about with the female student, Paul actually ended up calling me last night and he told me that that same student ended up getting attacked by another spirit in that same building, in that same space. So there's still ongoing stuff going on in that building, man. There's parts of the building that are really really heavy, and because it's such a big open space with tons of people that are walking in and out of there, man, you've got tons of personalities, you've got tons of different energy just kind of running rampant all over the place. I mean, it's, to me, I would think it's a primo spot for any type of negative entity to just kind of latch on to somebody, right? It'd be like a buffet. I mean, colleges are
Yeah.
usually filled with, college kids that are super stressed out and just freaking out, anxiety ridden. So yeah, man, that was pretty crazy. But Paul is, I mean, he's a bottle, and he was able to do what he needed to do in order to get that spirit out of there, which was awesome. But yeah, it was pretty eventful week. And what's crazy, man, is that I told you I just got done watching Undertone. Dude, listen, that movie, if you guys have not seen Undertone yet, you guys have got to see this movie, man. I have no shortage of confidence when I'm recommending this movie to you guys, just because I don't really say if a movie is like really, really legit scary unless it is. And this movie, it legit creeped me out. It was awesome. It has to do with a young woman who is a paranormal podcaster, as a matter of fact. And during the podcast, somebody ends up sending them an email with like 10 audio files on there. So just clips, audio clips. And just it's crazy because as they keep listening to the audio clips, just weird shit starts to happen in her house. I'm telling you, listen, these guys, whoever directed it, and I didn't even do my research on who actually, directed the film. But man, they did so many like psychological tips and tricks just to kind of mess with your head. The cinematography was absolutely great. I mean, it was like a dark movie, right? It happened, and it doesn't leave the woman's house throughout it's like an hour and like 35 minutes, and it's centered inside of this woman's house, right? You don't leave it at all, but you're so engaged with what's going on, with the creepiness of these, like the sounds and the voices and everything that you're hearing in these clips. Man, it's crazy. So I invite you guys to, man, check it out. Please check it out and let me know what you guys think. To the watchers and to the listeners, do yourselves a favor, go check it out, man. Let us know if you like it. Let me know if you hated it, because honestly, this has been probably the creepiest movie that I have seen in a long time. It messed me up, man. So yeah, that's my recommendation.
I personally haven't seen it. I don't know. Have you seen it, Sammy?
I have, yeah, and I agree with everything you're saying, dude. I will say that A24, their horror movies, dude, are some of the best in my opinion. They really
Mm-hmm.
know how to make a good horror movie. But yeah, like you said, being that they had one setting for the whole movie, it was, in my opinion, it was more creative. And I'm a musician myself, so I thought I was
Mm-hmm.
intrigued by the this aspect that it's going to be a horror movie based on sound.
Right.
And yeah, it was I really really liked it. I was in the movie theater in the back row with Mandy,
Uh-huh.
and behind us there's a little space, and I was scared. I was scared to look back there. It really did scare me.
And so the thing is, I watched it at home, man. And there's a couple parts in the movie where the screen is just black, right? And all you're hearing is the audio. So what kind of freaked me out, my own brain was freaking me out because I was staring at my screen, right? I have a big ass TV, and all I'm seeing is the reflection, whatever I can see of the reflection in the TV, right? So I'm focused on this black screen, but because I'm hearing these creepy sounds, I'm like, my brain is freaking me out. I'm thinking that something's going to move in the reflection of my own TV. Man, it just plays with you. And I think that's what just one of the amazing parts of this movie. Just the little tips and tricks that they did. It was awesome. Honestly, it was great.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait to see it again. Yeah.
So before we get into what I've been up to this last week,
Mm-hmm.
I need to know, what are your guys' spirit animals? It all makes sense later.
Okay,
You know,
Sammy, you want to go ahead?
I could go first since I got you guys on the hot spot. Me,
Okay.
the sloth. I love the sloth. He's a creature. He's a goblin. He likes to f stuff up, and I'm all about it. I love the sloth. What about you guys?
Okay. Go ahead, Sammy.
I'll yeah, but I got a funny one. I don't know why I got this fascination with penguins. I bet I got a penguin tattooed. I got Chili Willy tattooed right there.
Chili Willy throwing it
Yeah,
back. Nice.
but I really like penguins for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay, that's what's up. I mean,
Yeah,
I think mine's pretty much obvious, man. It's a bear, grizzly bear. I've always felt a kinship to grizzly bears. I'm not one to, seek out problems or anything like that, just like bears. Like, they don't They mind theirs if you mind yours, right? But they're fiercely loyal and fiercely protective over their cubs, the ones that they love. And I've always felt a kinship to bears.
Good old bears.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the reason why I asked, okay, so while you were at the round table talking about ghosts and stuff, I took my daughter, we skipped school, and I took her to Great Wolf Lodge, and then afterwards we went to Rainforest Cafe
Mm,
where there was just tons of animals and animatronics. Have either of you guys ever been there?
I
I
have.
went
Yeah, they
there.
have
Yeah.
one down here in Orange County, kind of near Disneyland down here. There's one over there, but I've been there once. Yeah.
Such a
Yeah,
vibe.
I've been there. I've been there. Like, downtown Chicago used to have one. They shut it down some years ago. But when I was a kid, I was there, and I remember being in awe just looking at, everywhere. I mean, it's a restaurant that has a whole bunch of like animatronic animals, and they were like spraying mist and everything in there. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool experience.
So yeah, I took my daughter there. We had dinner and had an amazing time. Which then I'm like thinking to myself, how could I incorporate this into the podcast? Because this isn't scary, right? We're talking about spirit animals. We're talking about you know Rainforest Cafe. It's a fun experience, but it's not horror, right? So then I was
Mhm.
like, animatronics are creepy AF. Let me go online and see what I could see. It didn't pull me in the direction of Rainforest Cafe, but it pulled me into another family establishment, Chuck E. Cheese. So
Mm.
I have two little short snippets that I'm gonna kind of just go over with you guys before we kind of keep going. So okay, the first thing, okay, Chuck E. Cheese and animatronics. It says employees. They talk about band members that would randomly power on and off mid shift, their voices being warped into something low and demonic. Sounds creepy as hell. One story describes it getting stuck during a happy birthday song while its head was just jerking back and forth while singing happy birthday extremely fast. Management allegedly told staff members to just keep an eye on it because I guess they would sometimes catch on fire, smoke up. So animatronics, creepy. But then this one, I never saw this one before. This is a different one. So there's also in the Chuck E. Cheese world, the ball pit phantom. And it says multiple accounts mention a small shadowy figure splashing around in the ball pit. Staff or parents sometimes pull their child out of the ball pit because they're just so unsettled because they hear faint giggling and tubes and balls moving around. Bro, how creepy would that be?
Oh no.
The ball pit phantom? New
I
fear
never heard that.
unlocked?
Yes, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And now it's kind of freaking me out because I'm remembering when I was a little kid and I used to like play, in Chuck E. Cheese and everything and jumping into the ball pit. And now it's like just the idea of thinking that there was something else in there that, potentially could have been with us. I mean, I remember being a kid and like when you're going through the tunnels and everything, there when it's empty, there is kind of an eeriness to it, right? When you're like turning a corner or something, going from one tube to the next, there is sort of like this weird, awkward, just like feeling, almost like you're not alone. So I totally believe that there's something going on there. I mean, these places have been here for a really long time, man. So who's to say that there isn't like the spirit or spirits of some kids that maybe passed away and just found their way back there? It's super creepy to think about, man. And I've said that some of the scariest things always involve kids for some reason. Ghosts are scary, but seeing like a little kid ghost is kind of scarier, right? Like seeing a person that's possessed, that's scary too. But seeing a little kid possessed, that's terrifying. There's just something about like dark things involving the paranormal or involving anything scary in conjunction with kids that just makes it so terrifying to me. And maybe it's just the fact that, it's the corruption of something innocent. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, it messes with my head.
Yeah,
No.
your stories kind of got me thinking. I wonder if that's how the Five Nights at Freddy's creepy pastas got started with all the. I'm sure it's kind of based on Chuck E. Cheese, but all the kids that would possess the animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's. It's
Mm-hmm.
creepy.
Yeah. And for those that are looking for something creepy, I'm not sure if it's still up there, but I remember that Hulu, they had a horror short on there that had to do with animatronics, and it's called The Hug. If you guys get a chance, go to Hulu and just go in that search bar, man, and put in The Hug, and you should see this big, like, animatronic. It looks like a panda or something, like a weird bear. Dude, it's maybe about 10 minutes long. Bro, that thing scared the crap out of me, man. You guys got to check that out just because it automatically just pulls at that part of you when you're a little kid and you remember. I remember, when those animatronics weren't being used, the curtains would draw, right? And they would cover them up. And of course, when you're a curious little kid, I'd go and I would like grab the curtains and I would look behind them and then just see those weird animatronics kind of just there, motionless, but still with their eyes open or their mouths open, just looking all types of creepy. That's straight up nightmare, man. Horrible.
Especially over the years as they kind of became more and more ran down.
Hmm.
Especially in like some of the parts of like the inner city. I used to go to the one on Kedzie and on the south side of Chicago, and the kids would be jumping up there on stage, pulling at them. So like as the years went on, you could see the age on them, but as they aged, they just got creepier.
Yeah.
Luckily, like where I used to go to Chuck E. Cheese, it was super ghetto. So I remember having an experience of wanting to go through like the tubes and the ball pit, and like I go in there, a big puddle of tinkle, and it killed it for me. I never went in another tube again. And I'm trying to be. I use the word tinkle, and I'm Mr. Scary Vibes. Lately, I've been a little like I swear here and there, but since I'm posting this stuff on YouTube and Spotify, I'm gonna try to be more politically correct. So I'm gonna say words like tinkle.
All right. I see where you're going, man. Yeah, no
All
problem.
right, so okay, so I got the mood set. The mood is set. We're talking about creepy animatronics now. So Sammy, he's our special guest. He's the meat and potatoes of this episode. This guy, basically, I found him on Instagram. He has so much style. This guy is cool as hell. He has all the cool T-shirts. He has the hat, the accessories, and you be out investigating, doing ghost hunts and stuff. So I'm curious to know, how did you get into ghost hunting? Do you have any creepy stories? Let me know.
Yeah, I would say I got into it. Shoot, I don't exactly remember when I got into actually doing it. I started buying equipment little by little, like the EMF readers. I got eventually got a spirit box and stuff. But then, really, Mandy and I, we kind of started doing a lot of that stuff when we had met. Like we started going out to more places, kind of proactively. And I was always curious. I guess all the ghost hunters out there, they have a reason why they do it. Mine is I really want proof of the afterlife.
Mm.
Uh, and with that being said, I'm not sure I found it, but I would say that this world is a little, there's more to meets the eye in this world, I'd say. But as far as answering your questions, as far as creepy spots that we've been to, there is one that kind of comes to mind. It's a place in San Diego. It's maybe about 2 hours ish away from us in LA. But this place is called the Whaley House, and it's one of the most haunted houses in the United States, I believe.
Hmm.
And every time I go to this place, I get sick. And I thought maybe the first few times I'm like, okay, I must have just come in contact with someone who had a flu or something, because
Hmm.
that's what I feel like. Start getting feverish. I start getting really like body aches and stuff, headaches. But swear on my life, every time I go, I get sick, and I've been there maybe 10 times. I'd say every time never
Wow.
fails. So
That's
I'm thinking it's
crazy, man.
something that's just taking the energy from me. I don't know, something
So
bad is there.
when you say that you get sick, are you saying that like it's literally when you like right when you go there, or is you get sick after you leave?
It's when I leave. I would get home that night. I start feeling kind of achy, and the next
Oh,
day I get sick. It's like a 1 day thing. It's weird. It's the weirdest thing. Yeah,
interesting.
that
Wow.
space that place specifically, I would say that always happens there. But we've been to a few other haunted spots, like well, the big ones as far as like the Winchester House that's up in kind of near San Francisco, in San Jose.
Okay.
It's really cool to look at. It's a very interesting house for the listeners that don't know it. It's a house that was built by the wife of the big Winchester gun owner.
Hmm.
She built it kind of a house for it's a house for spirits. So there's doors leading to nowhere. There's staircases that just lead up to the ceiling. It's very strange.
Hmm.
But
Wait. The lady who created. Okay, so it was a lady who created the Winchester guns.
no, I'm sorry. It was her husband that created the Winchester. The
Okay, so
guns?
her husband created it. She's the wife, and then she has this home, but she designed it for ghosts. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying,
Yeah.
bro?
So her
Bro.
husband passed away, and her child passed away as well. So I
Mm,
think in all that grief, she just kind of got obsessed with the afterlife, and she built this house,
mm.
kind of calling all the calling spirits, so to speak.
Right. So
It's interesting.
I remember hearing about the Winchester House, and I've seen a few documentaries on the Winchester House, and from what I remember, because the Winchester rifle was used, I mean, it's a tool of death, right? So I mean, it's taken countless lives, and because this woman's husband was the creator, the manufacturer of these guns, and would distribute these guns, the vengeful spirits would kind of congregate inside of their home. So they were plagued with a lot of paranormal activity in their home. So they had some psychic mediums that came through to consult with them and basically told them, like, listen, these things are going to keep coming for you guys, so the best thing that you need to do is you have to confuse these spirits. So what they did was they went and they started building, adding more and more wings to this home, rooms that led, to nowhere, right? The same thing, like Sammy was saying, there's like stairwells that lead just like right into a wall. There's doors that don't even open, and it's all just in an effort to confuse the spirits that inhabit the house. It's to keep them confused so that they can't attack the members of the family, the Winchester family. So I mean, I believe she died some time ago, right? I'm not sure who the new owners are. But while you were there, did you guys experience anything?
No, nothing at the Winchester. I will actually. I'm wrong. Mandy did say that she saw a window open on its own. We
Mm,
were outside in the courtyard, and she said she saw a window open on its own, but not too sure if it was wind or not. But I believe her though. Mandy's she's a hard skeptic.
mm.
So that place, it's if you guys ever get the chance to go to travel, it's a really cool place to see. It's extremely interesting. You're like, what am I looking at?
Okay, cool.
But yeah,
So for our listeners and watchers, Sammy, Abraham, me, we keep talking about Mandy because okay, so we're on episode 13. Episode 13. Well, episode 12 and 11, Mandy was a special guest on there, and that's kind of how we got introduced to Sammy, and now we're here, episode 13 with Sammy. So that's why for our listeners and watchers that you keep hearing us mention Mandy, it's
Hmm.
because yes, she was our previous. If you haven't watched those episodes, go and watch them. Check them out. Let us know what you think. So, like I was saying, like you're a pretty stylish dude too. So, how did you get into like horror fashion, and how did that all happen?
yeah, I will say. Let's see. Well, growing up in LA, a lot of lot of what's around me here in LA, and a lot of my family members, kind of they dress like we call it like the Chicano style
Mm,
with the
hmm.
fedoras. There's certain shirts like a lot of like Ben Davis pants, things like that. The Pendletons that are buttoned up all the way to the top. So I seen that my whole life growing up, and all the old classic lowriders and stuff. So that really inspired me. But I think I'm getting off on a side tangent with the horror style. But I wanted to kind of like blend that stuff with Halloween. So I kind of created these little characters called Halloween homies. But long story short, that kind of inspired me with all the style, I guess. Yeah.
That's cool. Halloween homies. I'm definitely gonna have to check those out. I know I've seen a lot of the designs that you've made for t-shirts. Guys, you have to check out Sammy's stuff, man. Like, he is a badass artist. You guys got to check out his stuff. Go and support him. Go and support Mandy. Man, you guys will not be disappointed. Go and check out their stuff, and we'll make sure to get where people can check out like your IG account and stuff at the end of the episode. Okay.
Thank you, dude.
No,
But
definitely.
yeah, I think a lot of that. I'm sorry, that was a crazy side tangent about it. I answered a
No,
totally
you're
different
good.
question. But I would like, as far as horrors, like this one, for example, the shirt I'm wearing, I designed it myself. But yeah, I kind of like the old C's horror vibe, kind of the TVs and the VCRs.
Mm,
I love horror shirts. I have, man, probably too many at this point. But
okay.
Burning question. Burning question. At what age did you get a fedora?
ooh, good question. I was actually just thinking about that too. My grandpa, he wore fedoras, and when I was younger, I would say I was about maybe 12 years old. He'd always give me his fedoras because he always had a bunch of them. So he was always giving them to me. So I would say, yeah, about 12 years old. Any old hats that he didn't want. So I was always rocking them in high school, middle school.
That's
And
dope.
people they always liked them. Like, hey, that's a cool hat. So I always felt like it kind of made me unique in some way. And I looked like my grandpa. I thought he was a super cool dude.
Absolutely, man. That's so cool. There's just something kind of missing from that old school generation, man. They used to be so dapper back in the day. I mean, if you think about like 1920s and 30s when they used to, rock the fedoras, the three-piece suits, man, there was just something so stylish about it. It's just like so dapper the way that the guys used to dress back in the day, man. So yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
I remember my great grandfather, and he would wear the suits and the ties all the time, and he had his fedora and everything too, and he would slick his hair back with the hair grease and stuff like that. They don't make them like that anymore, man. Definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
So
like my
I
grandpa.
was
Yeah.
curious, Sammy, I just wanted to ask, is there a favorite genre of horror? Like, are you a slasher guy? Like, what is your favorite type of horror?
I would say it's got to be the possession films for me because growing up Mexican, it's a lot of superstition growing up in a Mexican household, and
Yes,
we
sir.
always spoke about like be careful, you don't want to get possessed by the devil or get possessed by demons. So that always really scared me. So any possession movies, that's got to be it for me.
You know what's weird is that in the Latino Hispanic community is the level of, right, like the superstition. When you're thinking about, like you said, like the whole possession thing. I remember there were little things that you just could not do, right? When like I remember back in the day, the whole thing about like dropping your food on the floor, you had to pick it up within like a specific time, otherwise the like a demon or some kind of evil could get into the food and then you would
Mhm.
eat it. And I mean, maybe I'm alone on that one, but I remember that was something that like we came up thinking about. We were taught that like you have to kiss it up to God. That's what you would do if it fell on the floor. Everybody would be screaming, "Kiss it up to God! Kiss it up to God!"
Yeah.
You had like a specific time, like, oh, it's 5 seconds. Anything after 5 seconds, the evil got to it already. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it's so weird how we come up with these like crazy superstitions. It looks like Mike left us. We're experiencing some technical difficulties, man. I'm actually surprised that you're actually here to experience this with us, because whenever we do talk
Bro, that's
about, go ahead, man.
that's never happened before. I've never got kicked out of my own studio. Are you guys
Dude,
Lucky,
okay?
yeah, we're
lucky
good, man.
13.
We're good. But literally, I was about to tell Sammy that like whenever we talk about spiritual things, this kind of stuff starts to happen. We start to run into like these technical difficulties. We were guests on the Horror 365 podcast, and we were talking about some paranormal stuff and like some entities that I've had run-ins with. And all of a sudden, we were running into, I mean, there was all types of stuff. Mike was having stuff happen with his computer. He was seeing like things flickering, like the icons and stuff flickering. His screen was flickering. And then the host, Jimmy J over there, was having difficulties where he just kept getting booted out of the session. I mean, it was insane, man. Just the stuff that we run into whenever we talk about anything spiritual or anything having to do with like evil, pretty much we run into these
Yeah,
kind of things.
that's creepy, dude. That gave me goosebumps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nuts.
Well, I'm
You good,
glad you
Mike?
guys are okay. Yeah, no, I'm good over here. I'm glad you guys are okay.
I'm glad you're okay.
One thing One thing that I always like to ask, all the guests, me and Abraham, we're both from Chicago, and we're always talking about Resurrection Mary and the gargoyles of Lower Wacker Drive. But I'm always so curious, the guests and like where you guys come from and what kind of urban legends you grew up with that is close to you. Because I feel like nobody's going to tell that story better than somebody who grew up with that story. So I'm curious, Sammy, do you have any stories like that?
Yeah. Again, yeah, coming from a Mexican household, we did hear a lot about La Llorona. That was a big one. But there was one that actually scared me more that my grandma told me about, a little bit more than La Llorona. But which was so the monster is called La Ciguanaba.
Mm,
And it's I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but it's pretty creepy. She said that her grandpa back in Mexico was he was like a womanizer. So he was this one specific night he was chasing this one woman around
mm,
and He was following her, trying to follow her home, but she never turned around. He just saw the backside of her. So he was chasing her. They eventually got to her house, and she turned around, and she had a horse's head. I'm like, what? My grandma told me this when I was about 6, 7 years old, maybe. I'm
Yeah,
like, what is? Or that just freaked me out. But that's what this monster is called, is La Ciguanaba. It's a horse head woman that kind of attacks men who are unfaithful or who are cheaters.
yeah. I've heard about that. I've definitely heard of La Guanaba. Yes, it is definitely it's a prominent figure in Mexican folklore. And that it's a cautionary tale, right? Where it's like, don't be a mujeriego, right? Like, don't be that guy. Don't be a womanizer. Be faithful to your woman. Otherwise, La Ciguanaba, she's going to catch you lacking. And that's like, most of the stories are usually like where the guys are leaving the bar or something like that, right? And just like Sammy said, it's usually a story where the lady she'll be attractive, but then like once they get real close, like she changes. Man, that's nuts. That's crazy. But
Yeah,
the
it's
fact
freaky.
like your grandmother like told you that story, that just like that makes it even that much more special, you know?
Yeah, she's like, she's like, good night. I'm like, what? I'm so scared.
You're
She
like,
just like
I'll
she
never be a
shocked you.
cheater.
Yeah,
She like shocked you and like totally shattered your little world when you were a kid and was just like good night and shut the door,
yeah,
turn the lights off. Oh no, that's horrible.
Your grandma was a G. I like it.
yeah.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
so episode 13, cursed. I mean, the fact that I lagged out of my own dang studio never happened. That's scary vibes first. We've had issues with guests. We've had issues getting the ball rolling where we can't get we have mic issues or these issues, but not a whole 45 minutes to an episode where I just log out. And the fact that you guys were still here, I am thankful that I didn't lose everything. So episode 13, cursed. It got me thinking about cursed places and cursed objects. So I pulled up two of those to kind of talk about. And then while I'm talking about that, I'm curious. Well, the fact that Sammy brought Annabelle with him, the biggest cursed object in the world. The fact that she went missing and now we know where she's at.
She
Creepy.
ended up in
Yeah, it's
Sammy's.
creepy. It scares me sometimes.
It's,
My
it's
daughter,
definitely a creepy background prop. I'll tell you that much.
my daughter buys those IKEA monkeys. It actually got really famous with Punch the monkey. She's been collecting them for like the last year. Abraham could tell you. She brings, this thing and Kermit around everywhere. We actually called it Security Monkey for like the whole past year. But
Hmm.
sometimes she'll just like lay it on a couch or in her bed and I'll go walking past it and its eyes are just like, and you'd be like, what the fuck is that on the couch? What is that? And you have to take a second look. So sometimes like little dolls like that, man, they're creepy.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, dude. Seriously, yeah. That's one of my fears is little dolls.
Hell yeah. I'm not a fan. Definitely not a fan, though, especially with what are they, the ventriloquist dummies?
Oh,
God, no. Curse
dead silence.
the person who created those things. What the hell were they thinking, man? Oh, those things are
I used
so
to,
scary.
I used to
Have you
have
guys?
this. Go ahead, Sammy.
I'm, I'm so sorry, dude. I was just gonna ask if you guys had seen Dead Silence, the
Oh
movie
yeah.
about the ventriloquist.
Oh
Yeah,
man, it's one of my
scary.
favorites. One of my favorites, man. So creepy. I love Mary Shaw is I feel like she doesn't get enough respect, right? I mean, you think about all these different horror icons, and I think that Mary Shaw, I mean, even though she has just the one movie, I think she qualifies, man. She's super scary with the way that they, altered her face to, have the mouthpiece just like a ventriloquist dummy. The way that her face would just, God, oh, I thinking about it, I hope I don't have nightmares later on tonight, man.
And the fact they
That
were able to, I think that
Go
was
ahead.
on our episode where we talked about PG movies. The fact that that movie is like PG-13. There's no blood, there's no gore, but it still has that creep factor, which really, says a lot.
But- And it also had like the intro was just super creepy. It was scary, man. You didn't even see what it was that like tore this woman's, the bottom of her jaw out. You didn't see what the hell it was, and it made it that much creepier, man. But yeah, Ugh, no good. No, thank you.
So when I go on to, Chat GTP and I talk about cursed places, the first place that comes up is Dudleytown, Connecticut. Okay. And this goes by the name of Village of the Damned. It's an old colonial settlement hit with endless tragedies from insanity. The fact there's a fucking town that makes you go crazy is nuts. Mysterious death, suicide, disappearance. Legends say that it carries a family curse from the 1700s. Now it's basically a ghost town in the woods where visitors report overwhelming dread, shadow figures, and a feeling that something doesn't want you there. Many who explore leave feeling physically sick, or they feel like they're cursed with bad luck.
Okay, so we won't be going.
A town that makes you go nuts, bro.
I wonder if they based that movie off of it. Is it must be about that, huh?
Which movie are
Probably.
which talking about?
The Village of the Damned.
Village of the Damned. I don't know because that's mostly like they were like alien kids, right? That were able to mentally like make people do whatever the hell they wanted to do and whatnot. But like the fact that these people are going into this town and they're experiencing something that's making them lose it, like, bro. The funny thing is, like, the most hardcore, like, I already know, Mike, you would go. Like, I feel
Where?
like you to this town. Like, I feel like you would go there just by hearing that. Or like our friend Paul. Paul would definitely he would hear like the reputation that this place has. Me, I'm like, I'm good. I'm not going. I'm so afraid that I'm gonna come back with attachments and all that kind of stuff. But like there are those people that are like, I don't know if they're paranormal adrenaline junkies. I don't know but they're legit like, no, that we're gonna go. We're gonna go and we're gonna check this out. So I'm saying, Mike, I would think that you would want to go check a place out like that.
No, I'd be down. I mean, the fact that I could go to Build-A-Bear with my daughter and she could put on 50 different outfits on her Kermit the Frog doll, I could handle insanity. I'm all for it, bro. I'm unfazed, bulletproof. Bring it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay,
What
so
about you, Sammy? Would you go?
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of with you, dude. I'm not sure I would go because I do like the
bruh,
feeling of being. I like being scared sometimes, but there's some places I'm like, no way. That's not gonna
Sammy,
ruin my
we
life.
Sammy, we were me and you, we were cut from the same cloth. We were bred for this. We've trained our whole life for this. You gotta come on. You can't make me do this alone.
Mike doesn't want to go by himself.
Yeah, I'd be scared, but you know what? I'd probably do it if I had someone else to go with me. Yeah.
See, he's bred for this. Okay, cursed places. Okay, so there was one side of the coin, but then there's cursed objects. Okay, so one of the ones that came up on here was the Thomas Bubsy chair. You guys familiar with it?
I can't
Yeah,
Good.
say
I,
that.
I believe so.
You
Okay.
are?
Yeah, actually, well, I'm kind of cheating. I printed out a little list of a bunch of
Okay,
little
okay.
haunted places or objects, but that was on the list.
Okay, yeah, so basically it's from England and there's a pub chair that there was a murderer and he cursed this chair back in 1707 right before his execution and he said, "Anyone who sits in my chair will die." He was pretty serious about his chair. Okay. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure we all have, our seats in our house. That's our spot. You sit there, you're going to get hurt. So it says that dozens of people who sat in this chair, from World War II pilots to truck drivers, all died shortly after sitting in this chair
Oh wow.
by car crashes, heart attacks, and now this chair is hung up so nobody will ever sit in it again.
Probably for the best.
Nah, I wouldn't sit in it. Maybe, I don't know,
I was gonna say, bro. Listen, you got to think about your daughter, man.
because there is that one doll. What is his name? Bobby doll. You guys know about that doll?
Oh,
What the
Robert
Robert
the
the
Doll.
doll.
that
Yeah.
story now? Because I know that one. People who go there and they taunt it and don't show it respect and disrespect it. There's bad stuff that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that. I believe that. So maybe I shouldn't sit in this chair. I'll just leave it alone.
Yeah. That. Listen, the way I see it, there's just some things that I don't need to know the answers to. You know, leave it
Yeah, there's
alone.
nothing good to come from it.
If
You know.
they say that there's like just a laundry list of people that actually sat in this chair and they all were met with a horrible demise, that's enough for me. I don't need to know anything else about it, man. Other than I need to stay away. That's it.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. That's I think yeah. Again, I kind of cheated. The only reason I was familiar with that one is because it was on my list. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
never heard of that one. That was creepy.
Yeah, exactly. Is there any cursed places on the top of your guys' head, or or cursed objects on the top of either one of your guys' head that just like Robert the Dow? That one's my personal one.
Mm-hmm.
That just kind of give you guys the heebie-jeebies off the top of your head. Sorry to do this to you guys.
I will say,
No,
sorry, dude.
no, go ahead, brother. It's all you.
I was going to say that one of the first ones I remember when I was younger was the Curse of King Tut's tomb. But
Mm.
there's a doll that we came across in the last few years. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Zach Bagans, the from Ghost Hunters or
Yeah.
Ghost Adventures, rather. Yeah. So he has a museum out in Las Vegas, and there's a haunted doll there that I never knew about, but it's called Piggy. And they say don't look Piggy in the eyes because yeah, she'll do something bad to you. But we had a friend that supposedly was scratched in the back who supposedly looked at Piggy. I'm like, that's pretty creepy. But I'd never heard of it before going to the
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big Sam and Colby fan, and I know that they went there. And I think I remember them talking about her. It's a pretty creepy doll too.
yeah.
Something about dolls. What about
Oh
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
that was a
Wave?
scary one.
Honestly, there's not really any cursed objects that come up to mind. I can tell you about like personal experiences that I've had with finding something that was deliberately left somewhere that was meant to curse, right? So I remember there was a person, my brother went to go visit a family member, right? Somebody that we hadn't seen in a really, really long time. And when he came back, so this was like out of town, when he came back, we picked him up from the airport and my mom brought him back and we were still pretty young. My brother was like, I think I was like 10. My brother was like maybe 12 or 13. And my mother was like going through his luggage, just putting his clothes away, doing all that stuff. And she ended up going into this like front pocket and she ended up opening it up and she reached in and she found that there was a envelope with a wax seal over it. And she didn't know what it was. She asked my brother what it was. My brother was like, I have no idea what this is. And she was like, well, did anybody touch your luggage? And he was like, well, just, this family member before they put it into the car, and then they grabbed it again to take it out when they dropped him off at the airport. And so somebody had deliberately left this thing in there and my mother ended up like opening it up and it had like this black sand in it. And so I'm not going to sit there and say, I mean, I didn't have any negative, things that ended up happening as a result of that. But years later, there was this person that my brother was dating, and that person was a proclaimed witch, right? I mean, this guy, he gave off horrible, horrible, horrible vibes. And uh, I remember there was a stretch of time where everybody in the household, we were just fighting. There was just tension in the air, man. There wasn't a time where like we were inside the house that we were like not fighting at each other's throats, arguing over the dumbest stuff. And so I remember my mother, she was repotting her plants that are inside of the house. And when she was repotting her plants, she found a ceramic head of like a little statue, like a doll type thing, and it was buried inside of the in the house plant. And so she ended up like taking it. She didn't touch it, but she ended up like taking it, like consulting with somebody who was, spiritual practitioner. And they had told her that there was, they did a consulta, which is basically a consultation. They did a reading. And from what they had said, that it was an object that was made to basically try to make my mother see this person that my brother was dating in a positive light. So maybe not necessarily a curse, but definitely an object that was used to alter a person's perception or how they were, how they would view a specific person. You see what I'm saying? Which,
Yeah.
whenever you think about it, man, if anybody has the ability or the power to rob you of your own decision making abilities, that's a scary thought that anybody can take an object and curse it, put the whammy on it, or put like a bad spirit inside of it. Anything that can alter your life negatively, is just a terrifying thought,
Yeah.
you know?
It is.
That's creepy. You got me thinking, dude. With your story, I was gonna
Mhm.
share a pretty spooky story with you guys. I can't say names because I'll get in huge trouble.
No, no
But
worries.
this took place about, man, probably 10, 12 years ago. But it's something involving myself. I was going through this huge battle with somebody and their family members, and it was bad. It was really bad.
Mhm.
Anyways, I was driving home one night. I was playing a concert. I played in a band, and I was driving home from this concert, and I fell asleep behind the wheel, and I got into a terrible car accident. The fact that I didn't kill myself or anyone else is a
Mhm.
it's a miracle. God was truly watching me, I would say.
Mhm.
But here's the spooky part: the street that I crashed on was one of the people that I was involved with this big fight. It was their name. The street name was their name that I
Oh,
crashed on. And my mom had actually caught that. She's like, "Did you see the street name?" I'm like, "No, I didn't see." And she showed me. I'm like, that gave me goosebumps. I'm like, "Holy
mm,
shit! Wow,
that is
That is.
crazy.
That
yeah."
is. That is.
But my mom, when I was, of course, I was younger when this happened, but she gave me a lot of peace and reassurance. She's like, "I promise you, you are being protected because I didn't even walk out with a scratch, nothing broken, no scratches or scrapes." She's like, "You are protected." She's like, "So let that be
Yeah,
your
that
peace."
sounds like you're divinely protected, man. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
insane. Wow. That's crazy. Well, glad that you walked out completely unscathed from that, man.
yeah.
Well, this has been a fun episode. And I want to thank you, Sammy, for coming on, spending some time with us, letting our listeners and our watchers get to know you.
Yeah.
Let our watchers and listeners know where they could find you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys again for the opportunity. And really quick, I just felt like I really enjoyed speaking to you guys. Again,
Hmm.
like most conversations, I just feel like we kind of scratched the surface and we could talk forever, for hours. I'm sure about these topics. But thank you guys so much for allowing me the privilege to be on. But my Instagram, which is I'm most active on there, it's at the Art of Sammy Ruiz. That's Ruiz. I have a TikTok where I post paranormal videos, Sammy Ruiz LA at that one. And I have a website, sammyruiz.com. I sell t shirts, this one, for example, a lot of cool spooky drawings. Yeah, those are the three platforms that I use.
If you're not watching right now and you're listening, he has a pretty cool shirt on. So definitely go check those sites out, his Instagram. Also, I mean, since we're doing some plugs, I want to appreciate everybody listening and watching. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and drop a like, a follow, a comment. Let us know how you did. We also love some constructive criticism. If you could say, hey, you know what? Speak up or whatever you want us to, or if you want to be a guest on the episode, you have some paranormal like stuff that's happened to throughout your life, or if you're just a big fan of horror and you just want to get on here and talk with us and introduce yourself to the community and to us, reach out. You have any final words, Abraham?
Just to tell people, if you haven't done so yet, man, check out the Scary Vibes Facebook group. Right, you can find us on Facebook. I mean, it's an awesome horror-based community, right? That's filled up with some awesome individuals that come from walks, all walks of life. They're really cool. You got artists, you've got musicians, you've got all types of people sharing amazing things, right? Sharing either experiences that they've had or their movie picks, their lists of their favorite movies. They're just like amazing, amazing people over there. But you can find Scary Vibes on Facebook and on Instagram also. I believe.
Facebook.
Where can they find it, Mike?
Yeah, Facebook groups is the biggest thing you guys want to probably join. The Instagram page is more of like a dark romance, or I post a lot of like links to our new content. So that's kind of the best way to stay on top of whenever we release like new episodes of podcasts or clips. So there's that. But I think that's going to be an episode. My name is Michael, aka Mr. Scary Vibes.
And my name is Abe, aka Big Paranormal. Sammy, thank you so much again. Hopefully, you can come back and share some more stories with us in the future.
I'd love to. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.